chapter clicked in to College Volleyball Weekly on Viral Volley Media. Now here's your host, Rob on mic.
All right, good day, everyone, and welcome to College Volleyball Weekly men's, not beach top 20, not women's top 20, but this is an off-season episode because news is happening, and it happened pretty quickly here in the summer. And, September 25th was a day that was a shocking day for a lot of people, to be quite honest, because John Speraw had accepted the position as CEO and president of USA Volleyball and stepped away from coaching both the national team and the UCLA team. But in that, some great things have come about. And on screen, it is with great honor and pride and excitement I announced the third coach in all of UCLA men's volleyball history, none other than John Hawks of Huntington Beach, California, right up the way here from where I'm at. Congratulations, Johnny.
Thank you, Ravo. It's been quite the whirlwind for the last several days. Let me just say that.
I'm sure it has, and we will definitely get into that. But I wanted to hit you up quickly with some just upfront questions about the process and what you're going through and how you've gotten to where you're at now at UCLA. So let's start out with this. You're named head
Yeah.
coach of the Ramblers in 2022, which was an incredible opportunity for you to be showcased as a head of a highly reputable two-time national champion program. When you went through the hiring process, how was it like for you having to leave your assistant coaching position at UCLA?
That was tough. I think in this profession, I don't think a lot of people realize just the connections you make along the way with the recruits and the families, the administrators, along with, at both programs. So when I met with Holly Strauss O'Brien about the job, and then I talked with Steve Watson, they were just incredibly supportive, incredible ambassadors of Loyola, and they really sold me on the vision of what they want for that program. Loyola is just a terrific place, and the process of going through being an assistant coach with John and now moving on. And at the time, John had lost Spencer to Indiana.
Mhm.
Kai, our director of ops, was leaving. She was going to go off into a different business. So he was losing his entire staff. So for me, I'm a pretty loyal guy, and I felt like I was loyal to John. I said, "Look, I don't have to go do this. I know you're in a tough spot, and you got the Olympic Games coming up, and you've got all these tournaments. Like, let's." And he's like, "Dude, you got to take this." So as being a head coach was really important, especially if I was going to, as it turns out, get this job. So in hindsight, it was the best move I ever made. I loved every second at Loyola, and I love all those guys we have, and leaving UCLA was brutal. It pulled at my heartstrings a lot.
Mhm. Well, I have to actually correct you on one thing. I think there's one guy just as loyal as you, if not more, and that would be Robbie Chai.
Well, no doubt, no doubt. I've spoken to Robbie a couple times since the announcement.
So good, so good. Now, your first season, 2023, you led the Rambler team to a 21-7 overall record, 11-3 in the MIVA for share of the regular season title, which was the first time since 2018. But what were your thoughts as the head coach in that first season, accomplishing those things?
It was great. I loved it. It was fun to come in and coach. I don't want to name names because it's not fair to the whole team, but the guys on the team were 100% bought in to me and the process. And the thinking back, we fell short. We lost to a good McKendree team in the playoff, and it was in five, and it stung a lot. And I did a lot of reflecting about who we were as a team, and I felt like we peaked really early. We had a key injury down the stretch that really affected us. And I realized that year that we just needed more depth, and that was the thing I think that really hurt us. I didn't have an answer that I felt like we could go and compete and win a title with on the bench, and that's no knock on those guys. I love each and every one of them. I've heard from all of them, and I just that was tough losing that way, but it really drove me into what we did the following year.
Yeah. Well, you don't want to mention any names, and I get that, but man, your results really showed. You had 6 Ramblers named to the All MIVA conference team, and you had 3 athletes receive All-American honors in your first season. I mean, that's a pretty amazing accomplishment, tapping into those guys and all the talent. And I know that those guys, the rest of the guys are supporting cast to allow those guys to do it, but man, that had to be a great honor, had to be such a great honor for you.
Yeah, it was cool. Thank you. I felt like what we did really well there over these last 2 years is really just enhance the volleyball IQ and get those guys to play at a different level. And the systems and things we were teaching, they hadn't heard before. So it was a bunch of guys that was like this, we were molding clay, and I really felt like the what we were doing was some really good things, and yeah, I mean, Parker Van Buren had a great year. Cole Schlotthauer, Dan Mangun, Jimmy Meinhardt, Nicodemus Meyer, just and those to name a few. Matt Oakley as libero. I mean, we just had some great players, and credit to Mark Holz and Matt McCarthy and the staff prior to me for bringing those guys in. Did a nice job.
Yeah. Well, in 2024, as we move on to the next season, you had another great season, and you did that navigating injuries, some personnel changes, just due to graduation and all that. But um, even your team was defeated in the semifinals of the MIVA conference tournament to eventual national championship biddy Ohio State. It still was a great season. You had Parker named as the MIVA Player of the Year and First Team All-American. Daniel Fabakovic, Newcomer of the Year. And gosh, this is all within 2 years, Johnny.
Yeah, it was you know th- when I got the job, I had to re-recruit Daniel Fabakovic. He had committed to Loyola the day that Mark got let go,
Mhm.
and he was on his official visit. So it was a tough time for him. He was left really without knowing where he was going to go. He's in limbo. So I had to get back on the phone with him and just kind of reassure him about what the direction was going to look like going forward. So I want to credit Matt McCarthy and Mark again for spotting and getting him. So that was really my first order of business, is locking down Daniel. And then that second year we just did in the first year we added 10 freshman recruits, and Jake Reed and Showbull
Amazing.
and all those guys. And again, I don't want to name all their names because it's not fair if I leave somebody out, because I love each and every one of them. Those guys made an immediate impact on that team in 2024. And that was with,
Yeah.
we beat Hawaii in our second match of the season, who was number two. And I did that. I think we had 5 freshmen on the floor at one point,
Yep.
and it was a special moment. And Parker played out of his mind. Dan Mangun wasn't in yet. We had 3 setters that we used that whole season, and I think each of them played about 33% of the season. So it was a let's get this done by committee for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, you I don't think I had the benefit of seeing you all through the year, even though you've been in Chicago these last few seasons, or crossing up with you on USA type of stuff, or even just visiting at tournaments. But um, you're an incredible recruiter, and regardless of whether the athletes come to you or not, you maintain such an incredible relationship with all the people you come across, which is such an awesome gifting for a person and a coach. And you can see that there is a special relationship developed. And one of my favorite videos that came out, it's probably like right before the season started in 2024. They had you mic'd up at a practice, and it ended with you going to one of your setters again, "Yo, who's your favorite coach?" And he looked at you all weird, and He goes, "Of course, you, Cox." And then you point over the camera and the guys are laughing, but it's just one of the things that symbolizes like the relationship you had with all the guys.
Thank you. That was with Brian Voigt, and Brian Voigt is a guy who I coached for 1 year, and he's an incredible kid who played a role. And I think maybe the lesson for every coach that I think I was taught was you got to value each and every guy in your team and find what makes them special and how do they impact your team. And for me, that's really important. So I do try to do that, Rob, and I think that's an important piece to how maybe I've maintained success through the years.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, I've got to be with you pretty regularly early in your career, but you know, you've been an integral part to some incredible programs that have won national championships or have been national championship contenders. Um, how have you been able to be successful as you are? I'm sure that's part of the answer from your last question, but I mean, it's a pretty amazing resume. If you look at where you've gone, then you've left, and they've won, or they've advanced to the semis. It's like, here's the key: get rid of Hawks. No.
Yeah. That is been true, right? I listen, I think it's just about trust and being open and honest and developing relationships and not being transactional, but just really like being a person that I care about them deeply. And I think that just makes guys want to be around me and it's not that I'm this rosy guy all the time. I can get a little bit ornery in the gym, but I think they know it's coming from a good place. And I really believe in the relationships. And I think that part of that is just I've worked with great head coaches. John Speraw is one of my best friends, and I would die for the guy, and I had opportunities to work for Alan Knipe, and Alan does such a great job. And I've had opportunities to work with Bill Ferguson, who was an amazing person himself, and he's back in the college men's game, and it's exciting to see. Um, I'm not naming people. I can't. My mind's all over the place, but yeah, I feel like all the players I've come across, I just feel like I genuinely um, care about each and every one of them. And I've got great, amazing stories. I remember everybody's recruiting stories. I remember their commitment days, where they were, where I was.
Mhm.
That's just important to me.
Well, it's funny looking at all the boys JO tournaments and seeing all the coaches trying to blend in the crowd. It's for naught. I'm like, why even try at that point? Because everything, oh, there's Hawks, there's Ross Stratter, there's Spraw.
Yeah.
Um, well, let's go over towards Spraw now. He makes his announcement about taking the position at USA Volleyball, which I mean, it's I believe it's a great hire. But as your friend and a colleague and a professional, what are your thoughts on the decision for him to take that lead spot at USA Volleyball?
Well, it's funny. My first text to him, because I'm coaching the U21 junior
Hmm.
national team, is I said, "Dang it, you're my boss again." And he got back to me, and of course we talked. But in all seriousness, he is, I think, the perfect person for the job. What that does for him and his family, Michelle and the girls, is is exactly what's needed. I know that the last few I want to say few years, but really the last like 8 years has taken a toll on his family. Michelle takes on a lot. Her parents are getting older. His parents are getting older, and the fact that he can be around more and be present with his young family who he's missed so much time with. Um, he's put his heart and soul into coaching both programs, and just to see him now be able to have a weekend and have some balance in his life is just makes me so proud.
Yeah. Well, it's a double duty with the men's team, men's national team, and UCLA. I couldn't even imagine. I mean, I know that when you're here, you're taking on a lot of the duties while he was coaching the national team in Anaheim. But gosh,
Yeah.
that's quite a bit of responsibility for one man to bear.
Yeah, and he does it without complaining. And I think, as we all know, we're married and we have responsibilities at home, and we leave on the road and we have these obligations that we have to do when we travel and be with our teams and meet and do video and all this stuff. And you Zoom your kids for 10, 15 minutes on a night, and that's not enough. And it just, the stress on the family is a lot to bear. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, you know that from going out to Ohio, back to LA, then to Chicago, and now back to LA.
Yes. I have a very supportive wife.
She's qualified for sainthood. That's what I hear you saying.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Well, let's go now to the now vacancy at UCLA. Um, how did you find out, and how did you view this opportunity? Was it something that you jumped on pretty quickly?
That's a good question. I I'm helping my daughter with her homework, and the the phone rings and I see it's John Speraw, and I go, oh, okay, like this. I'll just call him back because we probably talk 4 days a week. And I so I leave the phone, and all of a sudden, like an hour later it goes, and it's like ding, 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 and back to Westwood, question mark, UCLA, ready to go home. I mean, there's all these text messages. I'm like, I didn't know if John was let go. I didn't know what happened. So
He pulled up something from his dark past.
all I know is he'd gotten back from Montana, and he was going to meet the team in Europe,
Mhm.
or was gone at the time. I can't remember. So we hadn't talked really for a few weeks, and then because of all that stuff. So I call him back and I go, "Oh my gosh," once I kind of read the announcement. So I found out when everybody else found out. But I sent an immediate text to Gavin over at UCLA just saying, "Hey, I'm so fired up for John, and um, really looking forward to seeing kind of what he does with USA Volleyball." And then Gavin called me right back and said, "Hey, are you ready to come home?" And I just, at that point, I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And it didn't really hit me until that question. And of
Mhm.
course, I was very interested, and but had to talk to my wife and consult with her and figure out, hey, are you ready to do this? And she knew the gravity of this, and she knew how much it meant to me, and how much this was just a dream of mine, and how I talked about it.
Mhm.
Um, so she was fully supportive right off the bat and said, "Hey, let's see this through. You may not get the job, but let's see this through. And you know what? If you don't get it, then you don't get it. But at least let's go try."
Yeah.
And I called Gavin back and said, "Hey, I'm pretty serious about this. So if you'd like to go forward with it, I'm all in." And
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow. Now, did you ever think that you'd be returning to anywhere near Southern California?
no.
Wow.
Yeah, to be honest with you, no, I didn't. I love Chicago. Chicago's great, and we have met so many great friends here, just through my daughters in club soccer, and my older daughter's now playing club volleyball, and we just met so many great people here, and I've got an incredible staff, and Lindsay Nalii, and um, I just yeah, I think if I think about the whole direction of where my career was going, I thought here we're in the Midwest and we're going to stay here and I'm going to retire here.
Wow.
Yeah,
Where you're doing some incredible things. You've bridged the divide. You actually played in the Lewis golf tournament
I
with
did.
Dan Friend.
I did, and we won it. So Dan in reluctantly gave me a t-shirt, had Lewis volleyball across it, and he goes, "What are you gonna do with that thing? Like, you just give it back. Don't." And I go, "No, Dan, that's going right in our locker room, and it's gonna be the floor mat for our kids when they get out of the shower." But
What's the thing?
no,
Yeah.
they seriously, like the Miva coach has been great, and I mean, Donan has become one of my better friends, and he and I have talked recently. We talked this morning actually, and he's just so proud and happy, and he's going to be a brother for life.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's the thing, Johnny. You had this ability, you still have this ability to just, be well liked by the people around you. I mean, it was such a great thing to see all you guys hanging out at some AVC events, giving each other, some jabber and chirping away at each other, but it's all in good fun.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I think like Matt Worley's a great friend, and I still talk to I talk to him pretty regularly, 3 4 days a week, and I just that's why our profession in men's volleyball is so cool, is that we can be competitors on one end, but truly good friends where our families vacation together. I mean, Matt and
Yeah.
I went to Puerto Vallarta together with some coaches, so and our families. It's just an incredible little fraternity we have.
Yeah. Well, just so you know, of course, when the announcement went out about Speraw, the text thread with all the College Volleyball Weekly contributor coaches was blowing up as well. Who's going to be it? Obviously your name came up, a few other names came up. Like, nah, I can't. It's got to be Hawks, and we all landed on you, Johnny. So
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's funny, like this stuff all goes out, and I told you, I said, hey, like, there's going to be a lot of positive, but then there's going to be negative, and I can't lie. There's the negative stuff that people throw out on social media, and I don't know. I just feel sad for people that are like that. They hide
mm,
behind a computer and are so angry about stuff. Like people just don't. Those people obviously don't know me, and I put my heart and soul into this, and I'm a person too, and I know everybody feels it on one end or the other, and I'm sure you felt it with running this podcast. I'm sure there's people
yeah,
that don't agree with you, and it's a bummer. And I just don't like that about social media nowadays. To be
yeah.
honest.
Well, keyboard will get people a lot of courage, if you know what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah. It's all
So
right. Just don't listen to the noise.
yeah, exactly. Well, I know we had talked before coming on, but I wanted you to describe the hiring experience for you because I think in there you got some great little side stories, and I think you're going to show up on some potentially some watch lists because of certain activity. But I'd love for you to share with our listeners and viewers.
So just to make the story as short as possible, because I mean, it was really a week, but Monday rolled around. I was waiting for a call from the athletic director, and I didn't have his number, so I didn't have anything programmed in my phone. And I hadn't even had a meeting with the search committee yet. So I was business as usual. I go to practice at Loyola on Monday, and I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna pour everything I have into this Loyola team until the moment that I have to decide, right?
Right,
And I drive up to Wisconsin to go watch a high school volleyball match, and I'm on the road, and it's a beautiful drive, and I'm just soaking in the beautiful scenery of the drive, and the phone rings, and it's a 310 number pops up, and I go, oh, okay. So I grab the phone, and hello, and it turned out to be Christina Rivera. She's a senior women's administrator for UCLA, and she's like, how's the family, and how's Julie, and are you guys really ready to make a move like this, and really just gauging some pre-interview kind of feelings, right? And I
right.
said, Christina, um, I'm gonna have to call you back like this. I go, and she kind of pauses, and I go, I'm getting pulled over right now, and I've got my phone like this because my Bluetooth wasn't connecting over the car, so I'm talking like this, which never happens. So all these things are like weird, and um, she goes, "Oh, okay." So I hang up the phone. I get pulled over. The cop comes over and he goes, "You know how fast you were going?" And I go, "Honestly, I was no clue." Like this. And, and he goes, "I got you going 90." And I go, kind of just nodded my head, not really like knowing. So I get a speeding ticket. Um, and he goes, "Okay, careful merging back on the road." So I merge back on the road. I'm heading up to Madison, and I call Christina back, and she goes, "Hello," and I go, "Well, that's gonna make for a great story, isn't it?" And she just started cracking up, and she's like, "Did you get out of it?" And I'm like, "Nope, did not get out of it." So yeah,
Because you
so
didn't have your wig on.
I know. So that was the beginning of it, and
Yeah.
then Tuesday I met with the search committee. Wednesday, Martin
Wow.
Jarman called me, and all over the phone or over Zoom, and then Thursday morning I got the job offer, and the delay was really just waiting for my background check to clear, and the joke was that they're gonna find a speeding ticket on that background check. So yeah, so anyway, I'm happy that it worked out the way it was or way it did. And then
Yeah.
the announcement was just crazy in itself. They flew me in Thursday, and Friday morning everything cleared, and then we made the announcement.
Ooh,
It
that's
was
awesome.
wild.
Yeah. Well, you could actually get a segment what not to say to the state trooper, in response, like, oh, that's funny. I was at 115 about 30 miles back. No.
Yeah, yeah, good point.
Um, but the I just happened to be following along on social media for UCLA and um, seeing the way that video announcement was made. I had to try and communicate as best I can to listeners and our viewers, but if not, go on to UCLA's Instagram and see the video. Um, the athletic director was making, hey, once a Bruin, always a Bruin. So the decision we made, we've kept it in house, so to speak. And before your name was even mentioned, you walked in and the excitement in that room was so incredible to see, and how it was captured was so great because you could tell that it's such a great homecoming for you.
Thank you. I felt every bit of positivity from the guys, and honestly, uh, I was I was still numb because I still needed to tell the little guys, and this had happened so fast that I'm excited for that, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that they're going to see this video and watching me be excited to be with another team. How was that going to impact them? So I really like the whole day I was numb, and it was to see all the friendly faces in the room was just incredible. The hugs were great. The the reception, I'm gonna always remember it. So thanks for bringing that up because it was such a super positive thing for me.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's been well deserved because I've got to track your career. Well, sadly enough, even as a player back in the high school days. So, wow, that's of course you're not wearing your glasses. I'm feeling old wearing mine. So, um, but it's such I mean, seeing the hard work that you put in and all the places you've been to, and even just hearing the discussions about you as a person, as a coach, from everyone in the volleyball world. And I literally mean everyone from coaches, parents, recruits, other staffs, the federations. It's amazing. And you're highly respected. You're well liked, and I think it's a great choice for UCLA, Johnny.
Thank you. That means a lot to hear from you. Thank you.
But I definitely want to visit this side because of the person you are. You do have some relationships, and it is bittersweet. And you have alluded to that. And even just a few Loyola guys I've spoken with, you can tell there's such a special connection. And guys had come to play for you out there, and I remember you in your recruiting. I remember going working one match. I texted you in match like, you got some really good guys. But the first thing you said is, and they're such good people.
Yeah.
Can you talk about the guys that you brought in and just the team? Because I know it's a very special group of guys, and I don't even get to spend that much time with them or know
Yeah,
about them.
they're really what sell the program, to be honest with you. They're they're just great people, and I know I'm repeating what you said, but the their 3.5 team GPA over the last 2 years. 18 academic All-Americans in both years.
Wow.
Actually in each year. So 36 academic All-Americans in 2 years. It's incredible. And these guys are dedicated to doing what's best for each other, not what's best for themselves. And that's something we preach. It's something I preach, and they bought in from day one, made me feel welcome.
Mhm.
Uh, we say I love you a lot, and we mean it. And it's just I think that's what made that opportunity or that experience with those guys really special for all of us. But I could speak to the recruits as a group because I don't want to name any one of them.
Right.
Each guy fit a piece and then of what we were trying to do at Loyola. And I valued each and every one of them. And, whether they were a serving guy or a blocking guy or a starter, each guy knew what their role was right away. They were fighting for it.
Mhm.
And they put the team first. And they've got a lot of dog in them, which
Mhm.
is is I think something we all want in our athletes, So I think we identified the right guys and we got some pieces that are going to be those guys are going to be very good, and whoever takes over that program is going to be they're going to win some matches this year for sure.
Well, everywhere you go, Johnny, you leave it better off than when you found it. So excited for you. And I mean, I'm excited the guys had that time with you at Loyola. Selfishly, I'm excited to have you back here in Southern California, which means I get to see you more regularly. And
That's
uh,
right.
so many good things are happening. It's looking at the last 2 years for UCLA, though, it's obvious they've got the two national championships back to back. And you were part of the development into that first national championship. um, I'm not sure if you've had enough time to think about what like your philosophy is going to be, if it goes back to what you were doing before you left. But if you do, great. If not, I'm not going to press you.
Yeah, I think it's honestly I'm going to go in there and I'm going to be an observer, and I don't need to obviously go change a lot. All those guys still there are familiar faces to me. So the familiar the continuity is we're gonna try to keep that the same, be seamless, and I'll try to interject where I can early, and then the rest I'm just gonna kind of let it happen. I think
Yeah.
the with the staff with Nick and Brandon on staff, and you get Robbie Chai and Morty, and you got a bunch of good people there that um, it's all working, and now it's a matter of like reconnecting with Andrew Rowan and Rama and Robinson and guys that I had a big part in their recruitment. Um, and then seeing Luca, who I was involved in his recruitment,
Mhm.
and then you've got Sean Kelly, who in Trent Taliaferro, who I was with them with the youth U21 national team,
Wow.
Sean McQuiggan, and all these guys that are just through the program that I had a big part in their process to start. So now it's really, as Cooper Robinson was saying, he's like, Coach, this is full circle and
Yeah.
kind of coming back. So I feel like I'm just going to come in and lead from behind. I think that's probably the
Yeah.
best way I can describe it. I think that's a good way to do it.
Well, from Andrew Rowan's social feed, I think you're gonna be okay with him. I'll go on a limb and say that he's got pictures with you posted already, and he's never on social.
Okay, well there we go. I didn't even know that. That's awesome. He was texting me today. I recruited him and Rama together during COVID, and I remember being on my rooftop deck in in Sherman Oaks,
Mhm.
and I must have talked to them every other day during
Yeah.
COVID. And so those guys mean the world to me, and every other guy that I had a hand in recruiting. I love their families and I love everything we're doing. I love everything that the Bruins stand for, and I'm fully committed to seeing this through as far like I want to retire in this place, and I believe we're gonna fight super hard and contend for that third title in a row. It hasn't been done since 1984, and
Look at that.
we're
And it
going
was a
after it.
UCLA team, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, we're going after it, buddy. So it's gonna be fun.
There you go. Set the bar high at the get-go.
Listen, I I think with the roster the way it's currently constructed, and you bring in Cam Thorne from GCU, I just feel like that. I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal every year there to win a title. It's a goal for a lot of programs.
Mhm.
I can't say there probably will be some bumps in the road along the way, but that's how every season is for a lot of teams. So you know what? We'll adapt. We'll evolve, and we'll keep charging forward.
Well, without a doubt, we'll be following up with you as we get closer and closer to the men's season, which is just a little over 2 months away. And I'm excited to see the third coach in UCLA history, John Hawks. I appreciate your time today, Johnny, and congratulations. A lot of us are really happy you're back in town. So,
Hey, thanks for this. This is just such an awesome platform, and you do a great job. And looking forward to us connecting with you and giving you a big hug. I know Charlie Brand. I just got off the phone with Charlie right before you sent me that text.
well, my first conversation with him when I saw that on the broadcast was, Charlie, do you hear about Hawks?
Well,
Old
cool.
Balboa Bay coaches, right?
Oh my God, it's crazy. I'm super fired up to get back. Can't wait to see you, buddy.
All right. We will be talking soon, Johnny Hawks. Thank you
Yeah.
again, and congratulations.
All right, sounds good. Thanks.
Thanks for listening to College Volleyball Weekly. Be sure to follow Rob Speraw at the Rob on the Mic on Instagram and at Rob on the Mic on Twitter.